Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you're new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds in 3 years. If you'd like to join the family, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to participate on the discussion, you can join me most weekdays where I go live on YouTube around 4 p.m. Central Time, or outside of YouTube, you can consider joining the Discord I created or the Facebook page I created. There are links for those down in the description below. Also down in the description below is a link to a Pinterest board. That is a great place for you guys to see the meals that we've been eating so far to help us lose weight. Today is day 850 of my 3-year challenge to lose 300 pounds. I've used a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet to lose over 240 pounds so far. I have about 8 months left to go. I'm looking forward to reaching my goal and spending the rest of my life at a healthy weight. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. If anybody has any on-scale victories, I'd love hearing those as well. If you are struggling with your diet, what's causing your struggles? If you're succeeding with your diet, what are you doing that is causing your success? And at the end of the day, what are some things that you are going to do that will make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? Let's go ahead, switch over to the main screen here. Hello, Cindy and Pretty Girl's mom, Carrie checking in. Rick, hello, Rick. Cindy, Pretty Girl's mom, I already said that. Hello, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful evening last night and a wonderful day today. Very busy day, lots going on at work here. We had our kid was sick, home from school, so we were dealing with working and her being sick, and just overall busy day today. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the food for the last day here. Hello, tennis and yoga girl. Hello. Hope you had a great day. Let me see if I can get this to pull up. Food photos. So yesterday was Monday. Does anybody know what Monday means for dinner? Last night's dinner was Mega Veggie Chili Monday. It was a little bit different because we didn't have corn, so Carrie used peas in it instead of corn, but still just a big bowl of vegetables and a little bit of chipotle powder on there to spice it up a little bit, and it was great. Yes, Cindy says Mega Veggie Chili. Absolutely. Mega Veggie Chili Monday. And Carrie says even without the corn and with the peas, it was still really good. Yes, it was very good. Had a big helping of that for dinner last night. Some wonderful vegetables in there. You can see celery and carrots and tomatoes and just all kinds of wonderful things in that. And then for dessert last night, we had our cobbler. We've been having this pretty much every single night or most nights. Just a nice way to finish off the day. What day is polenta and white beans? That can be any day. But I'll take polenta and white beans any day. We can change that to Mondays if we want. So the after dinner we had our cobbler. Then today I did take photos of everything. Had a big bag of broccoli this morning, ate at about 10 a.m. and then had a bowl of oatmeal. It does not look like much of a bowl of oatmeal from this photo. Oh my, I can get my camera to zoom in. There you go. Maybe that'll be a little bit better picture of all those wonderful oat groats and steel cutouts. That was one of the differences in last night too. Carrie didn't have any bulgur wheat. She usually puts bulgur wheat inside of the mega veggie chili. She didn't have any, so she used barley, and it didn't cook down as well or as easy as the bulgur wheat normally does. So it did have a little bit of a crunchy isn't the right word. It had like little balls of the barley in there that were it was actually very satisfying to eat. It's something I've talked about in the past, that the brown rice and the oat groats and steel cutouts we have, or when we have barley, just the mashing of those little individual pieces of food is very satisfying. So you thought I said vulgar wheat. No. Yeah. We can get way off topic if we want to start talking about vulgar wheat. It's the so yeah, that was dinner. Yes. So today, here we go. Oatmeal. Back on track. Chew, yes, the chewiness of it. It has a good chew to it. Maybe that's the word I was looking for. Yeah. And so the same way with the oatmeal has a great chew to it with the steel cut oats and the oat groats. And then for lunch, I had a very large bowl of potatoes and broccoli, kind of my standard lunch that we have every single day. And it's still satisfying and amazing every single day, even with not having a lot of seasoning or just eating it plain. I really am very satisfied with the oatmeal we have every day and the potatoes and the broccoli that we have every day. Let's see. I was going to talk about food a little bit. So I'm still very frustrated by the scale. I'm not excited about getting on the scale for tomorrow's weigh-in. We are going to do it because it's part of the process, and it's not going to change anything whether I weigh in or I don't weigh in. But it's difficult because I want to keep seeing the scale go in the direction, in the right direction. And I had been seeing such great success over the past month or the past couple months. So to see that success slow down is very frustrating. But what I was thinking about, though, is that, like, with this diet, I've been so surprised at how well I've been able to stay on the diet and how I've been able to stick to the diet. And I think it's because I had that kind of old mindset of what dieting was going to be and what it was going to take to get to my goal weight. And in order to get to my goal weight, I was going to need to spend a huge period of time essentially starving myself. That's what the mindset I had going in, and I think a lot of people have going into any diet, is they think of how daunting the diet's going to be because they know that they're going to have to do this calorie restriction for a very long period of time. And that's part of the reason what I think keeps you from even starting a diet is that fear of being able to succeed and being able to stick with it. Like, why would I even try to go on a diet? I'm going to have to do this for a year in order to lose the weight. And it's going to be difficult the entire time. And when I look back at these past couple years that I've been doing this, and I think about the difficulty of the diet, and it hasn't been difficult like that. It hasn't been as difficult as I imagined it was going to be, and it hasn't been as difficult as it has been for me in the past. And maybe that's why I imagined that it would be difficult, because I had the memories of how I've lost weight in the past. When I think of back in 2013, losing 100 plus pounds and how hard it was at the end of the diet, and that's what you remember, is how it ended, right? You don't remember how it started. The diet started off great, and in many diets that I've done in the past have started off great, but it was the end of the diet. It was the continuing to eat a unsatisfying amount of food, and the thought of continuing to do that on and on till I got to my goal weight, it became a lot to continue to do, and it became difficult to continue to do that. And that's why I was taking an appetite suppressant, so that's why I succeeded. So once I quit taking the appetite suppressant, that led to my failure, because I never really learned how to eat. I never learned how to fix the food. I just learned how to abstain from eating. And the having that experience and losing that weight, and then following that with the next 7 to 10 years of my life where I just gaining weight. And then once you hit that point where, when I started in 2013, I was 415 pounds. So once I got back up to 415 or got to 420 pounds, then it became like, oh my God, I'm going to have to do everything I did before just to get back to where I was at. And then I'm going to have to do more that I wasn't able to do to get to my eventual goal. And it's very defeating, because you were defeated. It was like going against the final boss and losing, like I lost the first 100 pounds, but then that last 50 I lost, I didn't win. And so you go back into the diet with that mindset that you lost already. And what you have to realize is that each diet is different, and each experience is different. And by eating a plant-based diet, it's been completely different for me. I have not had that same experience. Like, I'm frustrated with gaining a couple pounds over these past few weeks, but it hasn't been difficult for me the last few weeks. With previous diets, I might have had a 2-week period where I gained weight, but I was also working really hard to lose weight and not succeeding. Like, it was something where I couldn't continue that struggle any longer. But with this diet, I don't feel like there's a struggle. I'm not struggling to make it through my day. I ate a pound of fruit at the end of the day yesterday. We make that fruit cobbler, and there's 2 pounds of fruit in it, and I eat a pound of it, and Carrie eats a pound of it. So I'm not starving myself. I'm not dealing with the same issues that I've dealt with from previous diets, because when you starve yourself for 6 months, then your mind starts to really mess with you and try to push you to do things that you wouldn't necessarily normally do. Sarasota, Florida says that Florida potatoes are not as good as northern potatoes. Oh, that's too bad. We have I just like all potatoes, but I don't know which ones are better than others. I'm sure over time I could probably tell, or I will be able to give you a little bit of that. You know, that's something that I've noticed from eating a variety of food, you know, plant foods now, that there's definitely a variation in different things. And Rick says that's why we buy BJ yellow potatoes. They are excellent. There you go. So pick up some of the BJ yellow potatoes. Um, so uh the the difficulty with most diets is staying compliant because you're eating such a restrictive diet and you're trying to stay under this calorie count, and you continue to have to deal with day after day, you know, depriving yourself of food. And that's not the way I feel with this diet. This diet is completely different. And even if it's not, even if the scale's not going in the direction that I wanted to see it going, I know that I'm healthier today than I was yesterday because there's all of the food that I put into my body is health promoting food. Cindy here says holding on to weight doesn't mean holding on to fat. Yeah, absolutely. It could be water retention, stress, consumption, or constipation, and a slower metabolism after all the weight you've lost. Yeah, absolutely. And these week to week variations, you have to look at, you know, them very, you have to brush them off, or you have to let them slide, because the shorter term variations is not where, that's not what you're looking for. Like, I'm not looking for a short term success. If I wanted to start my channel and if I would have said, hey, how much weight can I lose in 1 week? You know, like, then that would be a thing, but it's how much weight can I lose in 3 years? So, even though the graph might go up a tick or two from last weigh in to this weigh in, it doesn't mean that it's up from last month to this month or last year to this year. It's about getting it to trend down in the right direction. Um, Rick says constipation, eating this diet. Uh, you know, I think that it, I almost feel like, you know, I feel like it might have been talked about in the book Fiber Fueled, or I know it was some video or book that I listened to where they talk about, like, you can have like a partial constipation, or you can be constipated and still be passing food. But yeah, I'm definitely still passing a lot of food. So, but I also at the same time feel like I'm not passing all the food I'm eating. I feel like there's a blockage in the system somehow. And, you know, like every day I eat food and I come into work and I gain all of the weight from the food that I had just eaten. So eventually it's going to kind of whoosh off, or it's going to come off. So I'm not overall worried about this week's weigh in or last week's weigh in. I'm worried about the weigh in a year from now or 2 years from now. Give me 1 minute here, guys. Uh, Okay, I'm back. Sorry, guys. I had some employees stop back in here that they were finishing up the day that I just needed to get them out the door and get the front door locked here. So let's see. I was talking about the food and eating food and losing weight and still getting to eat food. And that's really been something that has been a huge plus to this diet. It's been made it much easier to succeed when I get to go to bed with a full stomach. And I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to continue to eat the way I have been eating. I'm not going to let this kind of week or 2 week period affect how my overall diet is going to go. And the food, the thumbnail here, it says food is the answer. And that's something that I feel like it's the answer to a lot of different questions, like why was I feeling so bad? Well, it was the food I was eating. That's why I was feeling so bad. And how can I feel better? Well, eat better food. How can I live a longer, healthier life? Eat better food. I listened to the How Not to Die book, and it's really just him listing off the most popular ways that people die or the most common ways that people pass away, and then explaining how changing the food will fix those problems. It will take those leading causes of death and disease, and it removes them from your potential outcomes. And I think that that's something that's not appreciated enough. I think that we get drilled into us that a calorie is a calorie, and as long as your calories in is lower than your calories out, then you can eat whatever you want. And that might work if you're solely looking at a weight loss perspective. That equation doesn't make you healthier. The better that ratio is, or the lower the calories in versus the calories out, the bigger that difference you can make. That does not make you healthier because you have a bigger calorie deficit. It doesn't make you healthier because you eat less food. It just might make you skinnier. And what you have to realize is that even though the pursuit is to lose weight and it is to lower the number on the scale, that the true happiness is in the health that you find from this new body that you're in. Like the people that are losing weight and they lose that initial 50 pounds or the initial weight they lose in the first few months, and they talk about all of the medications they get off of, the diseases they're not suffering from anymore, and they're able to get away from that for that period of time, and they feel amazing. But what keeps them from going back, and I think what keeps them from going back is that the things they were doing to feel that healthy were unsustainable and they weren't realistic in the long run. And so we get into this loop of trying these things and failing but we never change the food. It's always about eating less. It's about eating in moderation. And that in reality, it's the food, having that calorie in, calorie out difference makes you skinnier, but it doesn't make you healthier. It's the food that you eat that's going to make you healthier. And even if I didn't lose another pound, or even if I gained 20 pounds back, if I continue to eat this diet, a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet, I am going to create a healthier outcome for me than I would have eating any other way. And I wouldn't have been able to, if I can eat enough food, eating a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet, that I stay at or maintain 275 pounds for a long period of time. Let's say I'm eating this way. 3 years from now, I'm still 275. That means that the volume of food that I was eating to be satisfied was still putting me at a calorie surplus or keeping me at a calorie equilibrium to keep me at this same weight. There's no way that I could be satisfied and be eating that old diet and not be heavier. Like it would, the calorie density of my diet would go up if I started bringing in processed foods, and I would still eat the same volume of food. So I would be 350, 400 pounds. And that's where those diseases come in, is when you have all that excess in you and that excess weight, but I'm not, the diet I'm eating, eventually I'm going to get to a healthy weight. Eventually I'm going to just be another skinny guy walking down the road, and I'm going to be just normal, and I feel so close to that now, and it's really interesting to have that kind of like feeling of fitting in now, like when I stand in a crowd, I don't feel like I stand out, which is really cool. And I think that I've never had that kind of feeling because I've always been the biggest guy in the room, and I still am going to be one of the biggest guys in the room at 277, but I'm not awkwardly large. And when I was 277 last is when I was in high school. So everybody around me was 16 and 17 years old. So I was still very much the largest kid by a good percentage the last time I weighed this weight. So now being 277, being an adult, having a lot more of my peers being at 250, 300 pounds, it's kind of cool to fit in again, and fit into some better clothes too. So really it's gonna be, I guess the big things I just wanted to talk about was how I wish I would have known going into this that I would be still so satisfied with the diet 28 months in, however many months I'm in here now, I think it's 26 or 28 months in. So, like I'm still satisfied, and I don't have any desire to cheat on my diet because I eat a satisfying amount of food. If I get hungry, I can just go have another banana, and I don't feel guilty about having another banana, because if having an extra banana is what keeps me from losing any weight this week, then so be it. I'm not going to be upset that it was a banana. Now, if it was a hot dog or a Snickers bar, then I would be upset. Then I would have something to be upset about. But I don't have anything to be upset about with this diet. And eventually it's going to come off too. Like that's the thing, is I'm going to get to have a big, oh my God, I can't believe I lost 5 pounds this week kind of weigh-in eventually, at some point here. And that was another thing too, that we put so much weight into how things are progressing in the moment. For the past month, prior to last week, I was like, oh my God, I got to figure it out. Just sticking to salt, oil, sugar free, eating plant based, doing this, Chef AJ reboot. I've got it all going. I'm losing 1.5 pounds each week. If I continue to do that, I'm going to make my goal, no problems. Won't be any issues. I got it figured out. I know what's going on. And then fast forward a week and the scale goes the other direction. And it's like, oh my God, I'm doing it all wrong. What's wrong? What am I supposed to do? Where did I screw up? How did I mess this up? We kind of, you go on both sides of that kind of, that dip or that kind of emotional roller coaster. And it's putting a lot of weight, or it's putting a lot of power, in the scale that the scale doesn't need to have. You need to start changing your mindset to becoming healthier, and the weight will work its way out. The weight will do what it needs to do. Just continue to make yourself healthier day after day, or continue to strive to become a healthier version of yourself day after day. And that's what's going to keep it going for the long run too, because you're going to have weeks where the weight doesn't do what you want. But as long as you can still hold on to that, I'm still making the healthiest choices for me, then you have that kind of to fall back onto it when the scale doesn't do what you want it to do. And the scale's not going to do what you want it to do every week. Your body is going to go through ebbs and flows of things. Like Cindy said earlier, it doesn't mean that I gained 4 pounds of fat in the past week because I gained 4 pounds of weight. It means there's 4 pounds of something more on me. It could be 4 pounds more of water on me. It could be retention from from stress, and it can be constipation. It can be that your metabolism is in a weird funk that week or that couple weeks. So, yeah, it's been a fun trip so far. And, I'm 850 days in. That's another thing that I don't know that I do any other diet, and I'm still sitting here at 850 days, and I'm still excited about going home and having dinner and eating what seems to be a boring breakfast and a boring lunch, but being excited about it 850 days in. Like, that's not something that I don't know what I thought it was going to be like, but I'm excited to keep going. And who knows, Carrie says, can you imagine being keto for 850 days? Yeah, I don't know that I could have done that, and I never was big. So I had tried doing, I did like Atkins dieting, I'm pretty sure I read the Atkins book maybe back in like 2000 or 2002. But I kind of did the Atkins style dieting back in the early 2000s, but never really got truly into it when it kind of made its run. And I think maybe it's because I tried it, back in the 2000s and failed. So I didn't really have confidence that I would be able to succeed with it going forward. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I could have managed to do a lot of those diets for that long, and been able to stick to it, like that's the thing, and when I started this channel, it was kind of a thing to see if I could stick to something for that long. And I also felt like I didn't see a lot of people out there who had been sticking to something for that long, or that they still, like there was one guy in particular I followed that he was on day like 300 or 400 of his weight loss kind of channel, recording his progress, and he was kind of stalled out at that point, and then now he's disappeared and he doesn't make any content anymore. So that was kind of something that I challenged myself. I was like, I want to do this for 3 years because I don't see anybody else out there doing it for 3 years, and I want to show that it can be done. And at the time, keto was on the table, carnivore, paleo. There was lots of things on the table when I was starting this. So I'm extremely happy that I've chosen to eat this way. And I think it's one of the very few ways that I could have chosen to eat and continued to see weight loss success. Cindy says, what's your take on green smoothies with a little fruit for flavor instead of using a fork for eating greens? Well, if it's the only way that you can get the greens down, then I think that it wouldn't be a bad thing to have green smoothies. If you're having problems with, the process of eating them, or you have a difficult time eating greens, then having them in smoothies, I think, is fine. If you are eating a lot of smoothies and you're not losing weight, then that might be why you're not losing weight. But I think that eating food that's going to promote health, I don't think that it's a problem having excess of them. And, the blending of it does process it some, that your body, that if you didn't blend it, your body would work harder to digest, and it might be, might cause you to lose a little bit more weight if it's not blended. Carrie says, we were talking about grease last night and how she's so grossed out by grease now, because we don't have any very much grease or oil in our lives anymore. It's weird. But she's so grossed out now whenever she gets grease on her fingers and she has to clean a greasy dish now. It's just so unappealing. Yeah. We were, gosh, I don't know what exactly got us talking about grease. But just how, well, I guess just that grease that coats your fingers or coats your pans or coats your food, that's the same grease that's coating the inside of your digestive lining. And it's the same grease that your body absorbs into your veins. And you wouldn't want it on your hands for a very long time. You wouldn't be happy if that grease was on your skin. If you had that grease on your forearm, you'd wipe it off. You'd be trying to find something to get the grease off of your skin. And over time, it would probably cause irritation to your skin if it was on there for a long time, and we used to just eat it because once it's out of sight and out of mind, once it's in your body, you don't think about it anymore. It's not a thing anymore. It's gone. It's vanished from existence once you've eaten it. But in reality, it's wreaking havoc on your system, and it's lining your digestive walls. And, that might be what makes it difficult to digest some foods, is because you have this film in your stomach. William says you do the Atkins drink. Sometimes they're 150 calories per drink and they're not bad, and as far as flavor goes, that's those companies, they spent millions of dollars to make it not bad. That's for sure, but I don't know that they're necessary. Our Tiny Acre says that when you were eating greasy, oily foods, you hated the grease on your hands. Yeah, nobody likes that grease on their hands and on their counters and all over the place, and when you go into a commercial kitchen, that's what you look at, is all the grease that they have all over everything. And that grease is, what we use to make the food taste better. We do it to benefit our tongues, but it doesn't benefit the rest of our digestive system. And that's something that, again, it blows my mind at how ignorant I was to these things before. It makes sense, and I heard all the phrases, and I the people that say to eat your veggies and, the, but I think that, I don't know, maybe I was just so brainwashed by the industries that want you to think that it's calorie in, calorie out. It's about, uh, you know, have what you want, indulge in what you enjoy, as long as you don't have too much, but it's on you not to have too much. It's not on us to regulate how much you eat. But they just, it's like this brainwashing that I feel like I've been able to see through the haze of it now. And, like, of course, all of the cells on your body, all of the cells that make up your eyeballs, the skin, your hair, your ears, your whatever, everything, your organs, all of those cells were created from the food that you consume. Your body is constantly replacing many of the cells. There's some things that aren't, like maybe your teeth and things like that, but your skin cells, your heart cells, all of those things are being repaired and replaced by the food that you're currently putting into your body. And so if you want your body to have the best building blocks, you need to feed it better food. And it makes sense now. Like, yeah, like if I want my skin to be clearer, if I want my skin to be healthier, then I need to be feeding it clean and healthy foods. And the foods I was eating before were not clean and healthy foods. Cindy here says, when we do better, we do better when we know better. Yes, that's the way you hope that you do better after you know better. And again, I just feel like I should have known, and I did know, but like the food was so tempting. The thought of having it was so tempting that I allowed it to override my judgment. I allowed it to go to, to make me think that I could figure it out later, that it was worth it now, like whatever excuse that I needed to make up to indulge and to make sure that I was getting what was going to produce the most dopamine, what was going to produce the highest level of response within my body. Gene here says, hello, you don't like the film The Grease Leaves on Your Stove or your oven when your daughter's cooking? Yeah, Carrie was talking about this in the comments here, that she was talking about having some friends go on a trip for spring break. But we don't have animal products in our food, and sharing a kitchen with somebody that's cooking meat doesn't sound very appetizing or appealing at all. And I don't have any desire to be around it. Like, and it's just wild. It's just wild how my mindset has changed and how I understand, or I feel like I understand better now, the information that I knew then, but I just didn't put it together. I wasn't able to piece those kind of blocks together. They were all laying out there in a pile, but it wasn't until I started this challenge and really started researching these things that I was really putting these blocks together and realizing that, that the food that you eat is going to be whether you get healthier or not, it's going to be dependent on the actual food you eat. It's not going to be just because you eat less food isn't going to make you healthier. You have to eat healthier food if you want to become healthier. And then the other things, like the McDougall saying the fat you eat's the fat you wear. I didn't really, of course, if I look at the fat content of the food, and I never really looked at the fat content. I looked at, maybe if I ever cared about anything, I looked at the calorie count, but I didn't account for what percentage of that food I was eating was actually calories from fat. And I'm betting that if I went over my diet and looked at the percentage of my diet that I got calories from fat, it probably worked out to what percentage of my body was fat in the end. So I guess what I'm saying is I was getting probably 70% of my calories from fat, and I also had 70% of my body weight was fat on my body. So, Gene says you had a weekend with friends, you brought your own food. One of them preferred your soups over theirs, and you barely had enough of your own food because those people were trying to steal all your healthy diet food that just happens to taste better than the crap food they're eating. What was I talking about? I was talking about calories, being fat, eating fat, being fat. Yeah, I ate fat. Of course, I was going to become fat. And I ate a lot of fat. I didn't care about where it came from. Just as long as it was food in my belly, So, but I think that was about what I wanted to talk about today. You just have to realize that the food is the answer. Food is going to be the answer. The question is, why do I feel like crap? The answer is because of the food you're eating. The question is, how do I feel better? It's going to be change the food that you're eating. It's going to make a difference. It's going to be what gets you. How do I get to a healthy weight? Fix your food. Eat better food. There's so many things that I believe eating proper nutrition, proper diet, those things will pay off in the long run. And even if the scale doesn't do what you want it to do and you want to throw it out the window, in the long run, it's going to give you a net positive result. I might see the scale go up a couple pounds tomorrow, but 6 months from now, I'm going to be far lighter than I am today. So, and I'm far lighter today than I was 6 months ago. So I'm happy with how things are going, but just fix the food, change the food, make sure that you're eating the whole food and nothing but the whole food, right? So I'm going to get out of here, guys. I appreciate all of the support that you guys have been giving me throughout this past 850 days. 850 days means I got 245 days left to go. So, we'll get there. And tomorrow is weigh-in Wednesday. Cindy has to remind me it's weigh-in Wednesday. You guys, I need you guys all to weigh in tomorrow. Let me know how you did so we can celebrate your successes. And then Gene here says that AJ had a rapid weight loss talk when the doctor mentioned flax caused increased weight loss. Have to go back and listen again. Yeah, I might have to check that out. But yeah, I mean, it's just overall, like I said, it's the long game. It's the long con. It's not about how the weight did this week or how the weight did last week. It's how the weight did over the past year, how the weight did over the past 850 days, what it's going to do in the next 850 days. Just think about where I was 850 days ago, 240 pounds, 850 days from now, I'm going to be, 200 pounds. That'd be crazy. Be way past my goal. So anyways, going to get out of here. Thanks, Gene. It took years to get where we are, yes, and it's your health, not the number. Absolutely. It's not about, this 277 is not a health score. It's not, it's not, you don't win by having the lowest score. It's about longevity. It's about how many days I'll get going. So anyways, I'm out of here. Thanks for the support. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. If you have not hit the bell icon, make sure you hit the bell icon. If you've not hit the thumbs up, comment down below. What foods are you eating to improve your health? And last but not least, if you have not started your diet yet, get started right now. There's nothing coming up that's more important than your health and your overall well-being. Nobody gets to their goals, looks back and says, man, I wish I would have waited. Everybody wishes they would have started sooner. So get started now, guys. We will see you tomorrow for Weigh In Wednesday.